Hello there. This is James, and you're watching OneRoyal, and it's live. In today's program, I want to discuss what a crazy up and down week we have had in the markets. As well as that, talk about some key things we'll have to look out for next week. But before I get into all of that, don't forget these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out of the way, let's get started. Now, I just realized I haven't put my lights on. Silly me. Now, what a week. What a week we have had. I mean, it's been pretty exhausting. We've had many twists and turns. A lot of that I'd like to go over with you today. And don't forget, this, of course, is a live broadcast, so you can talk to me, chat to me, and share me your opinions anytime you wish as well. But I don't know about you, but I think like the market, I'm feeling a little bit exhausted. And instead of looking forward to the weekend, where I might get some rest, I'm looking at the weekend for a different reason. We're going to go a bit more into that. But anyway, let's go for the week so far. What's happened and what's been the main game changers to it. Let's start off with Monday. The S&P 500, its best winning streak for over 20 years, the best winning streak, 9-day winning streak it had in 20 years, hasn't had a winning streak like that since November 2004, came to an end. And why was that? Two comments. That's all it took. Was two comments. First of all, Trump announced 100% tariffs on all foreign produced films. Now, don't forget, a lot of big franchises like Marvel franchise, like the Star Wars franchise, for example, are filmed overseas in places like the United Kingdom, like, Pinewood or Shepperton, and Australia and New Zealand. And this is what he had to say in reference to this. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Now, the thing is with this is there's a big question mark over this. Because what do you mean? Do you mean if a company or if a studio, like I said, Marvel, Star Wars, makes a movie in the UK at Pinewood, for example, that's obviously going to be tariffed, according to this 100% tariff. But how about if movies shoot certain scenes internationally? So there's a big question mark about how this would play out. And apparently, actor John Voight was his advisor on this, talking about going to an expert on the film industry there. But anyway, this obviously took the wind out the sail for the market. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the film industry. What then happened was Trump announced he had no plans to speak with the Chinese president, Ping, this week, but did say he wanted a fair deal. Again, that dampened the market's hope that we will get some form of trade deal with China. So again, Monday was bleak. Tuesday, again, this has been a crazy week. US trade deficit widens to a new record high. Now, don't forget, the whole point of these tariffs, of course, that Trump wanted to put in, is to reduce the US trade deficit. But it's widened even bigger. Now, obviously, the reason for this, of course, is that companies, because of the tariffs, etc., companies are rushing in to buy these goods before the tariffs kick in. So that explains that. But then also on Tuesday, again, this is what dampened the market's attitude or hope. EU said it was ready to fight. EU announced plans to hit about 113 billion of US goods with additional tariffs if trade talks fail. So what did that mean to the market? Well, then straight away, because of that, because of Trump saying in the comments he's not meeting the Chinese president at all, plans to meet him, trade talks became a doubt for the market. Again, dampening the mood of the market. As well as that, Mark Carney, again, he visited the White House. Don't forget, he's just become the Prime Minister of Canada. So he visited the White House, and there was some sort of anticipation, some excitement, because Mark Carney and President Trump or Donald Trump are very, very different people, very different personalities, come from very different backgrounds as well. So there was sort of anticipation to see if these two juggernauts of politics, how they would get on. And again, they were supposed to meet again to discuss potential trade. The only thing really to come out of it, again, which dampened the spirits of the market a little bit, was that Mark Carney just confirmed that Canada is not for sale. Moving on to Wednesday. Again, I'm telling you, this week has been full of events and has been crazy. Moving on to Wednesday. Fed interest rate decision. And as expected, Fed kept interest rates the same. But as I mentioned in other broadcasts I did leading up to this and other broadcasts I've done this week, the main event, of course, was really the press conference and what the press conference would, inline. What would Powell say? What would the Powell indicate to us? Would it be dovish or hawkish? And this is what he had to say. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait for great clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. And here's the thing. My gut tells me about the path of the economy is extremely elevated and that the downside risk has increased. That sounds to me like a warning. Now, here's the funny thing. The question is, yes, it is indeed a warning. But did the market hear this warning? Now, any other time, when the market was more focused on economic data, yes, the market would hear this warning and the market would react in a negative way. But did the market react to this? The answer is no, it didn't. The fact of the matter is, it was totally overshadowed by the post made by President Trump. Usually, that would be center stage, but it was totally overshadowed because on that day, Trump also posted this: a major trade deal with a big and highly respected country will be announced. A trade deal. This could be the first trade deal since Liberation Day. A major trade deal with a big and highly respected country will be announced. Of course, the market jumped to conclusions, and they went straight away, assumed it was going to be UK. Reason being, because the UK is obviously one of the easiest countries to do a trade deal with, because their trade deficit with the US is not, so severe like with other countries, of course. So obviously much anticipation on that. And then on Thursday, Trump did indeed confirm that the trade deal was with the UK. He said, because of our long history and our alliance together, it is a great honor for us, the United Kingdom, be our first announcement. Many other deals which are in, I'll say that again, many other deals which are in serious stage of negotiations, saying basically, this is the first one. We have other deals to come. So how did the market react to this? Don't forget, we had doom and gloom at the beginning of the week. The market, there was much rejoicing in the market. Because all of a sudden, if this was the market started to think, if this was the first trade deal, then we're going to get future trade deals as well with other countries. And maybe, just maybe, there's a light at the end of the tunnel that this trade war could come to an end. Anyway, Thursday, indeed, the trade deal was announced. And this is really what it was. Was it disappointing? In some ways, yes. The UK will now pay 10% tariffs on cars and car parts, not 25%. They won't pay no tariffs on steel and aluminium. However, they will still pay 10% tariffs on other goods. So that 10% reciprocal tariff stays in place. So there's no chance of that going away. In return, the UK will buy more US beef, US medicine, and commitment to purchase airplanes and airplane parts from Boeing. As you can tell, though that was disappointing, but the market still took a lot of umbrage from that, a lot of hope from that. Of course, we'll look at the markets in a moment. But of course, obviously, Boeing benefited, and we'll look at Boeing in a moment. But here's the thing. It's not just about the UK with this. It's not about just the UK trade deal. It's the fact that the market is hoping that the first trade deal has been done. Can we get more trade deals over the line, especially with China? And we're going to move on to that now before we look at the market. Today, this looks what happened today. Trump announces tariffs against China, which are currently at 145%, is coming down. Bit of hope there. Now, all eyes, of course, this is what I said earlier on about the market now looking at the weekend, but for different reasons other than having a break. All eyes are on the US and China, talks happening in Switzerland this weekend. There was hope, or there is potentially still hope, that tariffs will drop to 60% following the negotiations, which will be a step forward. That will definitely de-escalate the trade war between US and China. And don't forget, the US and China are the two biggest economies in the world. At the moment, China's got 145%, US have to pay 125%. So 60% was the hope. But Trump again He's posted 80% of tariffs on China. Seems right, but it's up to Scott B. Scott B, of course, is Scott Bessent, which is the US Treasury Secretary. Anyway, there is hope. There is hope, but the market has to wait the weekend. Let's have a quick look at the markets, because like I say, we had much rejoicing in the market over the last couple of days with this trade deal, but for now, it is a little bit tepid. Obviously, the US session hasn't really opened yet. It opens in 15 minutes, but let's have a quick look at Boeing. Let's see how Boeing reacted, obviously, to that announcement with the UK. It did indeed, price went up yesterday by over 3%. As you can see, it's 3.31%. because it's a big deal for Boeing. Because don't forget, Boeing has been going through a lot of bad times, certainly with recent crashes over the last couple of years. That lawsuit done because of that. So this is a big deal for Boeing. Big deal. And bear in mind, as well as that, since this trade war started, China has started purchasing Boeing planes and parts, obviously, instead preferring to go with Airbus. So yeah, this is a big deal for Boeing. But as you can see, Boeing is up, and in pre-market, it's up currently at the moment 1.12%. If we have a quick look at currencies, because of course on the back of this, we did see dollar strength yesterday, and on the announcement, and the day before because of this. So where's the dollar index? I've misplaced it. Anyway, if we have a quick look at the euro dollar, actually, as we can see again, we have had dollar strength over the last 2 days. It's a daily chart, don't forget. Oh, I've got a comment. Can't read that, unfortunately. Hello, sir, though. Hope you're good. Nice to meet you. Don't forget, this is indeed a live show, so you can chat to me anytime you guys wish, or ask me any questions. Or ideally, what I really would like is for you good people to share me your ideas and your comments and your opinions. That would be awesome. I really would like that, because it's the whole point of the live shows is, like you said, obviously you build a bit of community, you get together and you share ideas. Okay, this is a nice one. Very cool to discover you. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. It's very nice to see you and welcome. Hope you're good. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you very much for your comment. It's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, like I say, the whole point of these shows is for us to chat, to talk, and share ideas and opinions. You know, that's the whole point of the shows and doing it live. Yeah, let's say, so obviously, apart from Monday, the dollar has had a bit of strength on the back of obviously the hope for the trade. Same with the cable as well, the British pound US dollar, bit of strength, but since then, because the market is waiting for this weekend now, is very sideways, is very, very slow, because we're waiting for the weekend and we're double guessing what will happen. The one thing which has really moved on optimism, especially today, is Bitcoin, because there is a slight more optimism in the market. Bitcoin has gone above 100,000 for the first time in 3 months. And don't forget, Bitcoin is indeed regarded as a risk asset or high risk asset. So when there's optimism in the market, obviously high risk assets tend to benefit. And Bitcoin has definitely benefited with this slight optimism. Now, those who know me or those who don't know me, one thing you would have to know is one thing I do talk about in every program, because I'm a gold bug and it's the first thing I ever traded. And that, of course, is gold. Now, near the beginning of the week, obviously gold was under extreme pressure, mainly because of a stronger dollar and optimism and the idea of a safe haven appeal sort of dissipating slightly. However, despite that, and this is what I find really interesting, because like I said, I'm a gold bug. I love gold. I've been trading gold since 2006. Like I say, it's the first asset I ever traded. So I have a special love relationship for the LML. Despite this sort of optimism, it's holding its own. Okay, it's holding its own. It's still trading at the moment as we talk, around $3,335 an ounce. Now, what that says to me is that if everybody was really optimistic, then obviously the safe haven status will start to disappear for the yellow metal. However, it also says to me that though there is a little bit more optimism, the market's still not very convinced. You know, because let's face it, over the last month or so, we've had so many changes in direction, so many things of one day, the Trump administration says this, The next day, the Trump administration says that. So the levels of uncertainty is extremely high. So this, I believe, this is my goal. But like I say, the main key area of support, I won't change my mind or my belief that at the moment you're still enjoying a bull run. However, a key potential area of interest, which could possibly change the direction of it, is $3,100. That's potentially a key area, which I'm keeping an eye on. Trump hump. That is absolutely right, my friend. Because we saw the Trump hump at the beginning when he got in, which, when he got into power, when he won the election, he did very much jump the market up. But then, like I say, after a while with these tariffs, the Trump pump has gone back to a little bit of a Trump dump. But one word, one post, you can sort of change the mentality of the market. So we have seen a bit of a pump again now, not massively, a bit of a pump again. But yeah, that's absolutely right. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. Hope you're good. Yeah. So like I said, that's what I find really interesting with the yellow mail. Like I said, I do have a special relationship for it. I really, really do. Anyway, let's move on. We covered last week, discovered last week. What a week it's been with its many ups and downs. But it doesn't stop there, because we have a big week ahead of us next week. Like I've already said, the market really is praying for the weekend to get something positive from the weekend. And really the focus is Monday's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. Monday could go either way. Monday. This is what's so exciting. I mean, usually weekends, we want to rest, put our feet up, have a bit of a sleep, catch our breath. But not this weekend. This weekend, we will be looking for any developments. On Monday, like I said, could go either way. Will we get positive feedback out of these negotiations with China, or are we going to get negative? And is the market going to suffer? So Monday could potentially hit. That's going to be the main thing. Everybody's going to be talking about how these negotiations go. But it's not just that. Next week also has the potential to be pretty huge, because for once, I want to talk about financial data. I know everybody talks about trade tariffs, but there's financial data too happening next week, which is interesting. We have UK claimant count, which of course is the UK version of US initial claims, UK unemployment rate, US CPI, UK GDP, EU GDP, and US retail sales. Now, for me, I'm going to be, really interested in particular on US CPI, because don't forget the previous reading was cool, was lower. It was better than expected. But this is before any sort of tariffs started to kick in. Are we going to see a hotter reading this month? Are we going to see the effects of tariffs on this CPI reading? That for me is going to be really fascinating. And as well as that, US retail sales, because don't forget, US relies on people spending their money. They're a massive consumer market. Are we going to start seeing the effect to retail sales, or is it too soon to tell? So that's another thing which is going to be really fascinating. So for me, as well as Monday's outcome, because Monday could go either way, depending what happens at the weekend. Other than that, the other things I'm excited about next week is US CPI and US retail sales. Like I said, don't forget, of course, you can talk to me anytime you wish. It is indeed a live show. Say hi if you like, or ask me questions, but more importantly, share me your opinions, your ideas. What do you think? I mean, do you think that, what do you think about gold, for example? Is gold going to carry on its bull run? Are we going to get a positive outcome this weekend? Or, like I say, it's going to be disappointing. Is indeed the UK trade deal, which occurred a couple of days ago, is this highlight, but we are going to get many, many more. Okay, so yeah, like I say, show me your opinions, because let me say, everybody likes to know ideas and share ideas, and let what everybody thinks as well. That's the idea. The other thing is, of course, obviously, if you're watching me on YouTube, and you like this sort of content, by all means, if you like, subscribe if you like, hit the notification button so next time I go live, which, by the way, is every trading day I do a live show. Every trading day I do a live show. And if you like this type of content and you put up with me, you don't mind me being overly passionate, overly loud, by all means, give me one of those. It's nice to know that you like what I do. And the same if you're watching me on X or Twitter as well, same thing. And the other thing I like to mention, of course, is I've noticed a lot of people do go back and watch the recordings after the live broadcast. Sometimes they miss the live broadcast, which is fine, but they go back and watch the recordings, which is cool, because any type of support is greatly appreciated. And you have a question, or you have a comment, or have an opinion, you can put it in the comment section below, and I will see it. And I then, of course, will answer it next time I go live on air, which exactly, like I said, it's every day. So obviously the next live broadcast I will be doing, of course, will be Monday, which is going to be a big one. So join me for that. Okay, because, we're going to talk about the outcome of what happened on the weekend, because that's Monday's going to be, there's going to be lots to talk about on Monday. An awful lot to talk about on Monday. A lot to talk about. So please come and join me at that. Just so you know, like I say, I usually, other broadcasts today, it's a bit different, but usual broadcasts I usually go on at 1 p.m. GMT, so I can talk about the US Open. Obviously, the US isn't open yet, so we can't talk about that. But yeah, usually about the US Open, and then we obviously look at that. But Monday it'll be 5 p.m. my time, which of course is 1 p.m. GMT. So please come and join me for that. If there is no questions, not a problem. Not a problem. Big thank you to everybody coming along and having a quick watch of the show. If you're new to it, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it insightful. Thank you to 2 individuals who said hello. I really appreciate that. That's really nice, because I like talking and chatting with people. That's really good. So I really, 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 really appreciate that. But if there is no further questions, leaves me to say, let me have a sip of my tea. If there is no questions or no other comments, leads me to say, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.